Captain Minho Kim stood on the bridge of the Horizon's Promise and watched the blue planet grow larger on the viewing screen. Valaris Prime. It was the most beautiful world he had seen in his 20 years of space travel. Crystal towers rose from green continents, and floating gardens drifted in the upper atmosphere like clouds made of flowers. "We're receiving their welcome transmission," said Commander Hyunwoo Lee from the communications station. "They're ready for us," Minho nodded. Today would change everything. Today humanity would sign its first major alliance with an alien species. Not a trade agreement or a peace treaty, but a real friendship between two worlds. Ambassador Jiwon Park entered the bridge. She wore formal diplomatic robes and her face showed both excitement and nervousness. "How long until we arrive?" 2 hours, Minho replied. "Are you ready?" Jiwon smiled. "I've been preparing for this my whole life. The Valari are good people, Captain. This alliance will show the galaxy that Earth stands with those who value peace." Hyunwoo turned from his station, his expression serious. "Ambassador, I must remind you that the Galactic Council opposes this alliance. They've made threats. Empty threats," Jiwon said firmly. "The Council has ruled through fear for too long. They won't risk open war over a simple alliance." Minho wasn't so sure, but he kept his doubts to himself. The Galactic Council controlled most of known space. 12 ancient species formed the Council, and they demanded that younger races bow to their authority. Earth had refused, so had the Valari. That shared defiance had brought the two species together. The ship descended through Valaris Prime's atmosphere. Dr. Yoonji Choi joined them on the bridge. She had spent 2 years studying Valari culture, and had become friends with many of them. Her eyes shone with happiness as she watched the crystal cities pass below. "Look at that," she whispered. "They built their entire civilization around beauty and knowledge. No weapons factories, no military installations, just art and learning. That worries me," Hyunwoo muttered. "How do they defend themselves?" "They don't need to," Yoonji said. "They've never been attacked. Until now they existed peacefully with their neighbors." The Horizon's Promise landed in a vast plaza made of polished white stone. Thousands of Valari had gathered to greet them. The aliens were tall and slender, with blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Their large eyes reflected curiosity and warmth. High Curator Lisa waited at the base of the landing ramp. She was the leader of the Valari people, chosen for her wisdom and creativity. When Minho and his team descended, she bowed gracefully. "Welcome, friends from Earth," Lisa said in perfect English. The Valari had studied human languages carefully. "Today marks a new beginning for both our peoples." Jiwon returned the bow. "We are honored to be here. Earth looks forward to a long friendship with the Valari." The ceremony was beautiful. Musicians played instruments that created sounds like flowing water and wind through trees. Valari children presented flowers to the human visitors. Artists had created massive paintings showing humans and Valari working together among the stars. When the formal treaty was signed, both species celebrated. Minho found himself relaxing, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. Maybe Jiwon was right. Maybe this would work. But then the message came. A communications officer approached Minho during the celebration feast. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Galactic Council. Priority channel." Minho's good mood vanished. "Put it through to my quarters. Quietly." In the privacy of a Valari guest room, Minho watched as the image of Ambassador Thren Vorak appeared on the screen. The Crassian was a reptilian species, one of the founding members of the Galactic Council. His scales were dark red and his eyes were cold. "Captain Kim," Vorak said, his voice like gravel grinding together, "the Galactic Council has become aware of your alliance ceremony." "This is unfortunate, Ambassador Vorak," Minho replied carefully. "Earth and the Valari are both independent species. We have the right to form alliances." "Rights?" Vorak's mouth twisted into what might have been a smile. "You speak of rights as if you understand the order of the galaxy. The Galactic Council has maintained peace for 10,000 years. We do this by ensuring that lesser species do not form dangerous coalitions." "Lesser species?" Minho felt anger rise in his chest. "Is that how you see us?" "That is what you are. Young, foolish, and ignorant of galactic realities." Vorak leaned forward. "I am authorized to deliver an ultimatum. Dissolve this alliance within 30 days or face corrective measures. And if we refuse, then you will learn why the Galactic Council has ruled for 10 millennia unchallenged." The transmission ended. Minho immediately called an emergency meeting. Jiwon, Hyunwoo, and Yoonji gathered in the ship's conference room. High Curator Lissa joined them via holographic projection. "They're threatening us," Minho said bluntly. "The Council wants the alliance dissolved or they'll take action." Lissa's expression remained calm, but sadness filled her eyes. "This is my fault. I should have known the Council would not permit our friendship. Perhaps we should—" "No," Jiwon interrupted. "We won't abandon you. Earth doesn't bow to bullies, but what can we do?" Yoonji asked. "The Council controls hundreds of systems. Their military is enormous." Hyunwoo pulled up star maps on the conference table. "I've been monitoring Council fleet movements for months. Something feels wrong. They've been repositioning forces near neutral space, more than seems necessary." "You think they're preparing for something?" Minho asked. "I think they've been preparing for a while. Maybe they've been planning to move against the Valari regardless of our alliance." Lisa looked troubled. "Why would they attack us?" "We have never threatened anyone." "You refused to join the Council," Hyunwoo explained. "You refused to pay tribute. And now you've allied with Earth, another species that defies them. They see you as a problem that needs solving." Minho contacted Earth Command immediately. Admiral Daehyun Kwan appeared on the screen. The Admiral was in his 60s, with gray hair and a face carved by years of hard decisions. "Captain Kim, I've already been briefed on the Council's ultimatum. The situation is serious. Admiral, Commander Lee believes the Council might attack the Valari regardless of what we do." Daehyun was quiet for a moment. "Commander Lee's instincts are usually correct. But we can't act on suspicions alone. I'm ordering you to remain at Valaris Prime. Keep monitoring the situation. Earth's diplomats will open channels with the Council. And if talking doesn't work, then we'll deal with that when it comes. But Captain, make no mistake, Earth will not abandon its allies. If the Council attacks the Valari, we will respond." The transmission ended. Minho looked at his team. "We stay, we watch, and we prepare." Over the next few days, Minho got to know the Valari better. Yoonji took him to their libraries, vast buildings filled with art and accumulated knowledge. Valari children played games that taught cooperation instead of competition. Their society had no weapons, no armies, no concept of war. "They're so vulnerable," Minho said to Yoonji as they walked through a garden suspended in the sky. "If the Council attacks, they have nothing to defend themselves with." "They have us," Yoonji replied. "That's why this alliance matters. We protect each other." But Hyunwoo's warnings grew more urgent. Council ships were moving. Lots of them. Military vessels heading toward neutral space near Valari territory. On the 10th day, Hyunwoo burst into Minho's quarters. "Captain, you need to see this, now." On the bridge, the sensor displays showed something terrifying. 72 capital ships had just emerged from quantum gates at the edge of Valari space. Council warships. An entire armada. "Get me High Curator Lissa," Minho ordered. "And contact Earth Command. Tell them the Council is here." Lisa appeared on screen, her face showing confusion.
"Captain?"
"What's happening?" "The Council fleet just arrived in your space. A huge fleet, military vessels, but we've done nothing wrong. Perhaps they're just passing through." Then the Council transmitted to every receiver on Valaris Prime. Vorak's face appeared, cold and merciless. "People of Valaris Prime, you have chosen alliance with humans over submission to the Galactic Council. You have rejected the proper order of the galaxy. The Council has judged you. Evacuation is neither expected nor desired. This is your ending." The transmission cut off. Minho stared at the screen in horror. "They're going to attack. They're going to kill them all. Earth's nearest ships are 5 days away," Hyunwoo said, his voice hollow. Yoonji grabbed Minho's arm. "We have to warn them. We have to help them evacuate," but it was already too late. The Council fleet was moving and the Valari had nowhere to run. The Council fleet moved like a storm of metal and death. Captain Minho watched the sensors and felt helpless. 72 massive warships against a peaceful world that had no weapons. It wasn't a battle. It would be murder. "Captain, the Valari are launching their defense ships," Hyunwoo reported. His voice was tight with tension. Minho saw them on the display. 12 small vessels designed for peaceful exploration, not war. They had light shields and no real weapons. The Valari were trying to protect their world with ships meant for studying stars. "How long until our reinforcements arrive?" Minho asked, though he already knew the answer. 5 days at maximum speed. 3 cruisers and 12 frigates. They left the moment we sent the alert. 5 days. The Council fleet would destroy everything in hours. We have to do something, Yunji said. She had tears in her eyes. We can't just watch. Our ship has no weapons, Minho said bitterly. We're a diplomatic vessel. If we engage, they'll destroy us in seconds and we won't save anyone. The first Council ships opened fire. Bright lances of energy crossed the darkness and struck the Valari defense ships. Shields flared and died. Metal twisted and melted. Within minutes, all 12 Valari ships were gone. Destroyed. Everyone aboard them was dead. Now nothing stood between the Council fleet and Valaris Prime. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the surface, the communications officer said. It's Dr. Yunji's contact. The scientist she was working with. Put it through. A Valari face appeared on screen. Her name was Dessa and she looked terrified. Yunji, the ships are coming. They're saying we have 1 hour to surrender, but when we tried to contact them, they just laughed. They're not here to conquer. They're here to kill us all. Dessa, you need to evacuate, Yunji said urgently. Get to the spaceports. Get off the planet. We're trying. But there aren't enough ships. We never needed many ships. We never thought... Her voice broke. Please help us. The transmission cut to static. A Council warship had destroyed the communication tower. Minho made a decision. All crew prepare for emergency operations. We're going down to the surface. We'll evacuate as many as we can. Captain, that's against orders, Hyunwoo said. Earth Command told us to observe and report. I don't care. I won't sit up here and watch billions die when we can save some of them. The Horizon's Promise dove toward the planet. Around them, Council ships began their bombardment. Energy weapons struck the surface. Explosions bloomed across the beautiful crystal cities. The floating gardens caught fire and fell from the sky like burning meteors. Minho landed the ship near a spaceport where thousands of Valari were panicking. They pushed and shoved, trying to get aboard any ship that could fly. Many of the vessels were too small or too damaged. Open all cargo bays, Minho ordered.
Get them aboard.
As many as we can fit. The crew worked frantically. Valari streamed into the ship carrying children and whatever belongings they could grab. Yunji stood at the ramp helping the elderly and injured. Tears ran down her face as she worked. Hyunwoo monitored the sensors. Captain, Council ships are targeting the major cities. They're not using precision strikes. They're using massive bombardment. They want maximum casualties. Through the viewport, Minho saw a crystal city die. A dozen energy beams struck it simultaneously. The beautiful towers shattered like glass. Millions of lives ended in an instant. How many have we got aboard? Minho asked. 2,300. We're beyond maximum capacity. Keep loading. We'll make room. A young Valari child, no more than 5 years old, stumbled up the ramp. She was crying, calling for her mother. Yunji picked her up and held her close. The child's name was Saris, and she was alone. Her parents were dead, lost in the destruction. That's all we can take, the cargo master reported. If we load more, we won't be able to take off. Minho looked at the thousands still waiting at the spaceport. Desperate faces, people who would die because his ship was full. Seal the hatches. Prepare for launch. As the Horizon's Promise lifted off, Minho saw the spaceport disappear in a ball of fire. The Council had targeted it. Everyone they left behind was gone. The escape was nightmarish. Council fighters pursued them. Only Hyunwoo's skill kept them alive, dodging through debris and using the planet's remaining satellites as cover. They jumped to quantum space the moment they cleared the gravity well. Safe. They were safe. But behind them, Valaris Prime was dying. For 3 weeks, they traveled back to human space. The ship was overcrowded and supplies were running low. The Valari survivors were in shock. Many just sat in silence, staring at nothing. Others cried constantly. Children asked when they could go home, and their parents had no answer. Yunji spent every moment caring for them, especially young Saris. The child barely spoke. She just held on to Yunji and trembled. During the journey, they picked up other survivors. A damaged Valari transport ship limping through space with 300 people aboard. Another group in an old cargo hauler. Each ship told the same story. The Council was hunting down every refugee. Any Valari ship they found, they destroyed. Hyunwoo captured long-range sensor data of the massacre. The footage was horrifying. Council ships systematically destroying every city, every settlement, every structure on Valaris Prime. They weren't just conquering. They were erasing the Valari from existence. Why? Yunji asked one night. Why do this? The Valari never hurt anyone. To send a message. Minho said quietly. To show the galaxy what happens when you defy the Council. Finally, they reached Earth. News of the attack had already spread. When people saw the footage Hyunwoo had recorded, there was universal outrage. The images were shown on every screen, every news channel. Burning cities. Dead children. The crystal towers reduced to rubble. Minho reported directly to Admiral Daehyun. The admiral looked like he had aged 10 years and 3 weeks. 12 billion, Daehyun said. Our best estimate is 12 billion dead. In less than 18 hours, the Council wiped out almost the entire Valari species. How many survivors total? Minho asked. 17,000. That's all we could find. 17,000 out of 12 billion. The number was so huge it didn't feel real. An entire civilization, reduced to a handful of refugees. Ambassador Jiwon visited the survivors at the temporary housing facility. She had championed peace and diplomacy. She had believed the Council could be reasoned with. Now she walked among the ruins of her beliefs. A Valari elder approached her. His name was Liranthus, and he had once been a soldier in the Valari's ancient past before they became peaceful. Ambassador, he said, I do not blame you. You tried to help us. But now I ask, what will Earth do? Will you negotiate with our murderers? Will you make peace with monsters? Jiwon had no answer. She just cried. 3 days after they arrived, the Council sent a message to Earth. High Arbiter Keln Dravos appeared on every broadcast channel. He was a tall alien with silver skin and cold eyes. People of Earth, he said, you have witnessed the price of defiance. The Valari chose alliance with you over submission to the Galactic Council. They paid for that choice with their existence. Now you face the same decision. You have 1 week to submit to Council authority, dismantle your military, accept Council governors, pay tribute. If you refuse, your world will share the Valari's fate. This is not a negotiation. This is a warning. The message ended. Earth's leaders called an emergency session of the United Earth Congress. Representatives from every nation gathered. The debate was short. We cannot submit, said the Secretary General. If we bow to them now, we accept that they can commit genocide without consequence. But we cannot match their military power, another representative argued. We'll be destroyed. Ambassador Jiwon stood up. Her face was pale, but her voice was strong. I spent my life believing in peace. I believed that reason and diplomacy could solve any problem. The Council showed me I was wrong. Some evils cannot be negotiated with. They can only be stopped. I vote for war. The vote was taken. Every single representative voted the same way. War Admiral Daehyun addressed the entire human species from Earth Command Headquarters. To the people of Earth, the Galactic Council has given us a week to surrender. We will not surrender. We will not bow. We will not forget what they did to our friends. The Valari came to us in friendship, and we failed to protect them. That failure will haunt us forever, but we can still give them justice. We can make the Council pay for every life they took. Starting today, Earth is at war, not for conquest, not for territory, for the simple principle that no one, no matter how powerful, has the right to commit murder on that scale. The Council thinks we're weak. They think we'll run. They're wrong. We're going to hit them so hard that the galaxy will remember it for 10,000 years. That night, Minho visited Eunji at the refugee center. She was putting young Saris to bed. The child held a small crystal, one of the few items she had saved from her home world. Will they make the bad people go away? Saris asked sleepily. Yes, Eunji promised. The bad people will pay for what they did. After Saris fell asleep, Eunji turned to Minho. Can we really win? I don't know, Minho admitted. But we're going to try. We're going to try with everything we have. Across Earth, the war machine awakened. Shipyards that had been quiet roared to life. Factories began producing weapons around the clock. Every military reserve was called up. Admiral Daehyun Kwan stood in the war room deep beneath Earth Command Headquarters. Around him, holographic displays showed the entire Sol system. Every ship, every station, every weapon humanity possessed was marked on the map. It looked impressive. Against the Galactic Council, it might not be enough. Status report, he ordered. Fleet Admiral Somin Han stepped forward. She was younger than Daehyun, barely 40, but she had proven herself in every simulation and training exercise. We have 24 dreadnoughts ready for deployment, 89 heavy cruisers, 340 frigates and destroyers, 1,200 fighter craft, total personnel 400,000. And the Council? Daehyun asked. Intelligence estimates they can field over 500 capital ships with support vessels numbering in the thousands. They have military forces spread across 300 systems. The numbers were daunting. Earth had built a strong military during its expansion into space, but the Council had been building theirs for 10,000 years. Vice Admiral Tajan Park spoke next. He ran intelligence operations. However, Admiral, the Council has a weakness. They're overconfident. They've never faced a real challenge. Their tactics haven't changed in centuries. They rely on overwhelming force rather than strategy. That's our advantage? Daehyun asked dryly. One of them. The Council also doesn't have artificial intelligence. They banned it millennia ago after some kind of war. We have advanced AI systems that can coordinate our fleets better than any organic commander. Rear Admiral Yuna Song added her report. She commanded Earth's special operations and stealth forces. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable. We can accelerate harder, turn quicker, and our weapons have better targeting systems. In a straight fight, one of our cruisers can take on 2 of theirs. But they have 5 times our numbers, Daehyun said. We need more than better ships. We need a strategy that makes those numbers meaningless. Captain Minho entered the war room. He had been promoted to Commodore and given command of Earth's vanguard forces. Admiral, the Valari survivors want to help. They have information about Council military tactics. Bring them in. Lyran Thess walked into the war room. The old Valari moved slowly, still recovering from the trauma of watching his world die, but his eyes were sharp and focused. Admiral, Lyran said, my people were peaceful for 5,000 years. But before that we were warriors. I am one of the few who studied our military history. I know how the Council fights because we fought them once long ago. Tell me everything, Daehyun said. Lyran pulled up star charts. The Council uses overwhelming force. They gather massive fleets and crush any opposition, but their fleets are slow to assemble and slow to move. They rely on quantum gates for rapid deployment, but those gates are fixed positions. Destroy or capture the gates and you can control their movement. Go on. The Council species don't trust each other. Each species commands their own ships. There's no unified command structure below the highest level. In battle, they coordinate poorly. If you can disrupt their communications, they'll fight as separate groups rather than a unified fleet. Commander Hyunwoo studied the data. He had been promoted to Strategic Operations Chief. So we use hit-and-run tactics. Strike fast, break their formations, retreat before they can coordinate a response. Exactly, Lyran said. The Council expects enemies to fight them directly. They don't know how to handle an opponent who refuses to fight on their terms. Daehyun looked at his officers. We can't defend Earth by sitting here. If we wait for them to attack, we'll be fighting on their timeline. We need to take the war to them. Make them react to us. Agreed, Soman said. I recommend we split our forces into 3 fleets. Each one operates independently, striking at different targets. The Council won't know where we'll hit next. Over the next 6 months, Earth prepared. Shipyards worked around the clock. New weapons were developed. The quantum missile designed by Earth's best scientists could phase through shields and armor. Railguns were upgraded to fire faster and hit harder. Every advantage, no matter how small, was pursued. Minho trained his vanguard force day and night. They practiced hit-and-run attacks until they could execute them perfectly. His ships were the fastest in Earth's fleet, modified for maximum speed and agility. Dr. Yoonji continued caring for the Valari survivors, but she also worked with human scientists. The Valari had knowledge of Council technology. They shared everything they knew. Every piece of information was a weapon. Young Saris, the Valari child, slowly began to speak again. She stayed close to Yoonji, following her everywhere. One day she asked a question that broke Yoonji's heart. Will you make them hurt like they hurt us? Yoonji knelt down to the child's level. We're going to stop them from hurting anyone else. Promise? Promise, Ambassador Ji-won had changed. The woman who had believed in peaceful diplomacy was gone. Now she worked to build alliances with other species. She sent secret messages to dozens of worlds oppressed by the Council. Most were too frightened to respond, but some answered quietly. The Chirix, an insectoid species, sent detailed star charts showing Council military bases. They couldn't fight openly, but they could help in secret. The galaxy is watching, Ji-won reported to the War Council. Species that have suffered under the Council for centuries. They want to see us win, but they're afraid to help. Then we'll have to win without them, Daehyun said. And when we do, they'll find their courage. The Valari survivors proved valuable in unexpected ways. They knew Council psychology. They knew how the different species thought and reacted. This information helped Earth's planners develop better tactics. Lyran spent hours with Hyunwoo, sharing everything he remembered from ancient Valari military records. The Council thinks of war as a process. They follow procedures. They're predictable. Use that against them. As the months passed, Earth's military grew stronger. New recruits trained. Veterans shared knowledge. The entire planet was united in a way it had never been before. Every person knew what was at stake. Minho visited the memorial that had been built for the Valari. 12 billion crystal shards, one for each life lost. People came every day to pay their respects. To remember. To promise that such evil would never go unpunished. Finally, the fleet was ready. 300 warships gathered beyond Neptune's orbit. It was the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Every ship was crewed by people who had seen the footage from Valaris Prime. People who would never forget. Admiral Daehyun visited each ship speaking to the crews. He wasn't much for speeches, but he knew they needed to hear from him. "I won't lie to you," he told them. "This war will be brutal. Many of us won't come home. The Council has more ships, more weapons, more experience. But they don't have what we have. They don't fight for justice. They don't fight to protect the innocent. They fight to maintain their power. We fight because what they did to the Valari was evil, and evil must be opposed." The crews cheered. Not because they were eager for war, but because they knew it was necessary. Commodore Minho assembled his vanguard commanders. "Our job is to strike first and strike hard. We'll hit Council supply bases in the Outer Reach sector. We destroy everything and get out before they can respond. No heroics. No unnecessary risks. We're not trying to win glory. We're trying to hurt them." His officers nodded. They understood. Admiral Selman prepared her first strike fleet. 90 ships, the core of Earth's offensive power. We'll follow the Vanguard's attack with a larger assault. While the Council is reacting to the raids, we'll destroy their forward bases. Vice Admiral Tajan coordinated intelligence assets, stealth ships, spy satellites, and human agents in neutral territories. I'll make sure you know where the Council is before they know where you are. Rear Admiral Yuna's special operations teams prepared for covert missions. Sabotage, assassination, and disruption. We'll make them afraid in their own territory. The night before the fleet departed, Daehyun held a private meeting with his senior staff. "Once we start this, there's no going back. The Council will throw everything they have at us. Earth will be in danger every day of this war." "We know," Salman said. "But we're not the ones who started this. We're just going to finish it." Hyunwoo pulled up projections. "I estimate the Council will need 2 months to fully mobilize against us. In that time, we can do tremendous damage. After that, things get harder." 2 months, Daehyun repeated. "Then we make every second count." The fleet prepared to jump to quantum space. Minho stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth through the viewport. "It looks so peaceful from here. Blue and green and beautiful. Worth fighting for. All ships reporting ready," Hyunwoo said. "Then let's go make the Council regret they ever heard of Earth," Minho said. The fleet jumped. 300 ships vanishing in flashes of light, heading toward Council territory. Heading toward war. Back on Earth, the population watched the broadcasts. They knew their military was going into battle. They knew casualties were inevitable. But there was no panic, no fear. Only grim determination. At the refugee center, Yoonji held Saris as they watched the ships depart on screen. The child whispered a prayer in the Valari language. "A prayer for the warriors. A prayer for justice. They're going to fight for us," Saris said. "Yes," Yoonji replied. "And we're going to make sure everyone remembers why." The Council's supply depot at Outer Reach Station never saw them coming. Commodore Minho's Vanguard fleet dropped out of quantum space already firing. Railgun rounds moving at incredible speed smashed through shields designed for energy weapons. Within seconds, 3 Council ships were destroyed. "Target the fuel reserves," Minho ordered. "Make it hurt." His ships moved with precision, dancing between the slower Council vessels. The AI targeting systems never missed. Every shot hit exactly where it needed to. The fuel depot exploded in a massive fireball that could be seen from 3 star systems away. "That's 1, Hyunwoo reported from the tactical station. 14 more targets in this sector. Then let's keep moving. Don't give them time to respond." For 6 hours, Minho's fleet struck like lightning. Supply depots, repair stations, and military outposts were destroyed before the Council could organize a defense. By the time Council reinforcements arrived, the human ships were gone, jumping to quantum space and vanishing. The Council's response was confused and slow. They sent messages demanding explanations. They threatened retaliation, but their threats rang hollow now. Earth had drawn first blood. High Arbiter Keln Dravos watched the reports with growing anger. How did primitive humans destroy 15 of our installations in one day? Fleet Marshal Gren Korthos, the Council's senior military commander, was equally frustrated. Their ships are faster than we anticipated, and they're using kinetic weapons that bypass our shields. Our defenses were designed for energy weapons. Then adapt, Keln snapped. I want that human fleet destroyed. Send whatever forces are necessary. Gren assembled a fleet of 40 capital ships. It was overwhelming force, more than enough to crush the human raiders. He personally took command, determined to show these humans the price of defiance. We'll trap them at the Crimson Nebula, Gren told his officers. Our intelligence says they're heading there next. We'll be waiting, but the humans had better intelligence. Vice Admiral Tajan's spy network gave them advance warning of the Council's plan. They're trying to ambush us at the Nebula, Hyunwoo reported. They have 40 ships waiting, Minho smiled. Perfect. That's exactly where we want them. The Crimson Nebula was a region of dense gas clouds that disrupted sensors and communications. Most fleets avoided it because navigation was difficult. But Earth's ships had AI systems that could calculate safe paths through the interference. When Marshal Gren's fleet arrived at the nebula, they found the humans waiting. But not fleeing. The human ships were scattered throughout the nebula using the gas clouds as cover. They're trapped, Gren said confidently. All ships advance and destroy them. It was a trap, but not for the humans. As the Council ships entered the nebula, they lost contact with each other. Their communications failed in the thick gas. Each ship was fighting blind, unable to coordinate. The human ships, guided by their AI systems, struck from every direction. They would appear from the clouds, fire a devastating volley, and disappear before the Council ships could return fire. It was like fighting ghosts. They're everywhere. A Council captain screamed over the failing communications. I can't get a lock on them. Marshal Gren tried to organize a retreat, but in the confusion, his orders didn't reach half his fleet. The Council ships collided with each other, fired on their own vessels by mistake, and died in the gas clouds without ever seeing their enemy clearly. Minho's vanguard worked with brutal efficiency. They focused fire on one Council ship at a time, destroying it completely before moving to the next target. No mercy, no hesitation. Target their command ship, Minho ordered. End this. 3 human dreadnoughts emerged from the nebula and fired simultaneously at Marshal Gren's flagship. Quantum missiles phased through the shields and detonated inside the ship's reactor core. The massive vessel exploded, taking the Marshal and 3,000 crew with it. When the battle ended, 31 Council ships were destroyed. The human fleet had lost 12 frigates and 1 cruiser. A devastating victory. News of the battle spread across the galaxy faster than light. Species that had cowered before the Council for millennia watched in amazement. The humans had defeated a Council fleet commander in open battle. The impossible had happened. Admiral Daehyun received the report and smiled grimly. Good. Now they know we can hurt them. Let's make sure they don't forget. But victory came with a price. The 12 frigates lost meant 4,000 human lives. Their names were read aloud on every news channel. Their families mourned. Earth remembered its dead and hardened its resolve. 3 minor species sent secret messages to Earth offering support. The Chirics provided more intelligence. A species called the Ven offered their repair facilities for human ships. Another species, the Torak, sent food and medical supplies. The Council's empire is cracking, Ambassador Jiwon reported. Species are finding courage, but most are still too afraid to fight openly. Then we'll keep fighting until they don't have to be afraid anymore, Daehyun said. For 2 months, Earth's fleets struck throughout Council territory. They didn't try to conquer planets. They destroyed military installations, freed enslaved populations, and broadcast footage of their victories across the galaxy. Admiral Soman's first strike fleet liberated 3 systems held by the Council. The grateful populations joined Earth's growing alliance. Each victory weakened the Council's authority. Rear Admiral Yuna's special operations teams conducted daring raids deep in Council space. They destroyed shipyards, assassinated corrupt governors, and spread fear among Council leaders. The Council tried to respond, but their forces were spread too thin. Every time they gathered a fleet to attack the humans, Earth ships would strike somewhere else. High Arbiter Keln Dravos grew desperate. This cannot continue. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. And now we're losing, his advisor said quietly. The humans are turning our subjects against us. If we don't stop them soon, the Empire will collapse. Keln made a decision. He would gather the largest fleet in Council history and strike directly at Earth. Not to conquer it, but to destroy it completely, just as they had destroyed Valaris Prime. Assemble every available ship, Keln ordered. I want 120 capital ships. We will crush Earth and show the galaxy that defiance brings only death. The Council fleet began to gather at Dravis Prime, the Council's homeworld. It would take weeks to assemble such a massive force, but once ready, nothing could stop it. Vice Admiral Tajin's spies discovered the plan. Admiral, the Council is assembling a massive fleet. They're going to attack Earth directly. How long until they're ready? 3 weeks, maybe 4. Daehyun called an emergency meeting of all fleet commanders. The Council is preparing their final gamble. They'll throw everything at Earth. We should return to defend the homeworld, one admiral suggested. No, Hyunwoo said. That's what they expect. If we defend Earth, we'll be fighting on their terms. We'll be outnumbered and trapped. Minho understood. We attacked Dravis Prime. We hit them at their capital while their fleet is preparing to attack us. That's insane, another officer protested. Dravis Prime is the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. Right now it's not, Tajin said. They've pulled most of their defenses to create this massive fleet. If we strike now, we'll face only a garrison force. Admiral Soman studied the star charts. It's a massive risk. If we fail, Earth will be defenseless when their fleet arrives. Ambassador Jiwon spoke up. We didn't go to war to hide behind our defenses. We went to war to end the Council. This is our chance, the decision was made. Earth's fleet would strike at the heart of the Council's power, while the Council prepared to strike at Earth. High Commander Varix Thane, the Council's greatest military strategist, opposed the plan to attack Earth. We're leaving our homeworld vulnerable. Earth doesn't have the courage to attack us here, Keln said dismissively. They're primitives, remember? Varix wasn't convinced, but he was overruled. The Council fleet departed Dravis Prime, heading for Earth. 120 massive warships, the largest force ever assembled. It would take them 2 weeks to reach human space. They had been gone for 3 days when Earth's fleet arrived at Dravis Prime. The Council garrison defending their homeworld numbered only 30 ships. When Admiral Daehyun's 300 ships emerged from quantum space, the garrison commander knew they were doomed. This is Admiral Daehyun Kwon of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your government massacred our allies. 12 billion innocent people. Now we're here for justice. Surrender or be destroyed. The garrison commander tried to fight. It lasted 2 hours. Earth ships swept through the Council's defenses like a storm. The orbital platforms were destroyed. The defense fleet was annihilated. But Earth's forces didn't bombard cities. They didn't kill civilians. They targeted only military installations and government buildings. We're not here to commit genocide, Daehyun broadcast to the planet below. We're here to end the Council's rule. But we won't become monsters to do it. Minho led the assault on the Council's military command complex. His Marines stormed the building, fighting Council guards in fierce close combat. By the end of the day, the complex was in human hands. In the central command chamber, they found records of everything. Every genocide the Council had committed. High Arbiter Keln Dravos stared at the reports from Dravis Prime. His capital was occupied. His military command was destroyed. His empire was falling apart. All because of humans, primitives who should have bowed before the Council's might. We cannot return to Dravis Prime, Fleet Marshal Varix Thane said. The humans control the orbital defenses. It would be suicide. Then we go to Earth, Keln said, his voice cold with fury. We destroy their homeworld. We kill every human. We make an example so terrible that the galaxy will fear us for another 10,000 years. That's genocide, Varix said quietly. Yes, just like we did to the Valari, and it will work, just as it always has. The Council's massive fleet turned toward Earth, 120 capital ships, the largest armada in known space. They would reduce Earth to ash and cinders. At Dravis Prime, Admiral Daehyun received intelligence about the Council fleet's new heading. They're going to attack Earth directly. They'll arrive in 4 days. How many ships do we have at Earth? Admiral Soman asked. 20. Hyunwoo replied. Commander Hyunwoo Lee stayed behind with a defensive force. But 20 ships against 120. It won't be enough, Minho said grimly. Daehyun made a decision. We hold Dravis Prime. We can't reach Earth in time anyway. Our fleet would arrive after the battle is over. Commander Hyunwoo will have to hold them. With 20 ships, that's impossible. Hyunwoo knows it's impossible. That's why he'll find a way to do it anyway. Back at Earth, Commander Hyunwoo studied the sensor readings. The Council fleet would arrive in 4 days. He had 20 military ships, but he also had thousands of defense platforms scattered throughout the Sol system. And he had millions of very angry humans who wanted revenge for the Valari. Put out a call, Hyunwoo ordered. We need every civilian ship that can mount a weapon. Every cargo hauler, every transport, every yacht. If it can fly and hold a gun, we need it. His staff looked at him in shock. You want to arm civilian vessels? The Council is coming to kill everyone on Earth. Every person who can fight should fight. This is our home. We don't run. Within hours, thousands of civilian ships volunteered. Old freighters, private yachts, corporate transports. Their owners mounted whatever weapons they could find. Missile launchers, mining lasers, even railguns salvaged from decommissioned military ships. Dr. Yoonji brought young Saris to the command center. The Valari child was 12 now, older but still haunted by what she had witnessed. Is the bad man coming here? Saris asked. Yes, Hyunwoo said honestly. But we're going to stop him. Will you destroy him like he destroyed my world? No, we'll stop him, but we won't become like him. We're better than that. The Council fleet arrived on the 4th day. High Arbiter Kelm Dravos looked at the sensor readings and laughed. 20 military ships and some civilian garbage. This will take less than an hour. Begin the attack, he ordered. Destroy everything. The Council fleet advanced on Earth, but as they entered the Sol system, Hyunwoo sprung his trap. Thousands of defense platforms activated, firing from every asteroid, every moon, every piece of cover in the system. The Council fleet found itself under attack from every direction. Small ships darted in and out, too numerous and too scattered to target effectively. Mining lasers cut through hull plating. Missiles from civilian ships overwhelmed point defenses. What is this? Kelm demanded. These aren't military vessels. They're protecting their home, Varric said. Every human with a ship is fighting. The battle was chaos. Hyunwoo coordinated the defense with brilliant tactical precision. He sacrificed defense platforms to protect ships. He used civilian vessels as decoys to draw fire away from military targets. He turned the entire Sol system into a trap. But the Council's numbers were overwhelming. One by one, human ships were destroyed. Brave civilians died protecting their world. The defense platforms were methodically eliminated. 3 Council ships broke through the defenses and fired on Earth. Their weapons struck major cities. Buildings collapsed. Fires raged. 17,000 people died in an instant. Hyunwoo watched the devastation on his screens and felt rage like he had never known. All ships concentrate fire on those 3 vessels. Now every human weapon in range fired simultaneously. The 3 Council ships were torn apart by the focused assault. But the damage to Earth was done. The battle raged for 6 hours. By the end, Hyunwoo had only 5 military ships left and a handful of civilian vessels still flying. But he had also destroyed 37 Council ships. Far more than should have been possible. Kelm Dravos looked at his fleet's casualties and felt his confidence crumble. These humans should have been crushed instantly. Instead, they had made the Council pay dearly for every meter of space. Prepare for final assault, Kelm ordered. Concentrate all firepower on Earth's surface. We'll destroy everything. But then the Council fleet's communications lit up with a transmission. It was from Dravis Prime. High Commander Varric appeared on screen. High Arbiter Dravis Prime has fallen completely. The humans have released all the Council's records to the galaxy. Every species now knows what we've done. The Empire is collapsing. 43 species have declared independence. Our remaining forces are surrendering across the galaxy. Kelm stared in disbelief. Then we make Earth pay. We finish what we started with the Valari. No, Varric said firmly. I'm surrendering the fleet. This war is over. You can't. I am the High Arbiter. You were the High Arbiter. Now you're just a war criminal. Varric shut down the communication. On dozens of Council ships, officers had been listening. They realized their empire was finished. They realized they were fighting for nothing. One by one, Council ships began surrendering. Kelm screamed orders, but no one listened. His own crew arrested him, locking him in the brig. The war was over. Admiral Daehyun arrived from Dravis Prime 2 days later. He surveyed the damage to Earth, saw the destroyed cities and the casualties, and felt the weight of command like never before. "We won," Hyunwoo reported. "But it cost us, I know, but it could have been so much worse." Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council's empire collapsed. Species that had been enslaved for millennia were suddenly free. Former Council territories descended into chaos as different groups fought for power. Ambassador Jiwon proposed the Confederation of Free Worlds, a voluntary alliance based on cooperation, not domination. 37 species joined immediately. More followed each day. High Arbiter Kellen Dravos and other council leaders were transported to Earth for trial. The proceedings were broadcast throughout the galaxy. Valari survivors testified about the massacre. Other species shared stories of council atrocities spanning thousands of years. Saris, now a young woman, spoke at the trial. She looked directly at Kellen and said, "You killed my parents. You killed my world. You thought you could do this without consequences. You were wrong." The verdict was unanimous across all judges from dozens of species. Guilty of genocide, guilty of crimes against sentient beings. The sentence was life imprisonment, watching broadcasts of the free galaxy they could no longer control. "Death would be too easy for you," the chief judge said. "You will live to see everything you built turn into something better." The galaxy began to rebuild. Species worked together, forming new alliances based on respect rather than fear. The Confederation grew stronger each day. Commodore Minho retired from active service. He became an instructor at the new Joint Military Academy, teaching humans and aliens together. He never forgot the Valari, and he made sure every cadet knew their story. Dr. Yunji continued working with survivors, not just Valari, but refugees from dozens of worlds the Council had devastated. She helped them heal, helped them rebuild their cultures. She adopted Saris officially, giving the young Valari a family again. Admiral Daehyun became the first Supreme Commander of the Confederation Defense Forces. He worked to ensure the new alliance would never become like the Council. Power checked by law, strength tempered by morality. Commander Hyunwoo received honors from 17 different species for his defense of Earth. The Valari survivors presented him with their highest award, the Star of Honor. He kept it in his quarters but rarely looked at it. He was too haunted by the 17,000 civilians who died on his watch. Ambassador Jiwon served as the first Secretary General of the Confederation. She worked tirelessly to ensure the new alliance served all species equally. The peaceful diplomat had learned hard lessons about evil, but she never lost her belief that goodness could prevail. On Earth, a memorial was built. 12 billion crystal shards arranged in a vast field outside the capital. Each shard represented a Valari life lost. In the center stood a simple stone with an inscription in both human and Valari languages. "They taught us friendship. The Council taught us fury. Together we will ensure such evil never rises again." 5 years after the war ended, Captain Minho visited the memorial with Saris. She was studying diplomacy now, preparing to represent the Valari survivors in the Confederation government. "Do you think we did right?" Saris asked, looking at the crystal field. "All that death, all that destruction." "We didn't start the war," Minho said quietly. "The Council did when they murdered your people. We just finished it, but so many died, on both sides. Yes, war always costs too much. That's why we built the Confederation, so this never happens again."